This is one of the gardens, the rock gardens in Kyoto. It's a very famous garden. The rocks are raked every day to made to look like waves, the ocean. And the big boulders are made to look like islands. And people would come and sit around there and contemplate the garden. I've never been there, but I can talk to people who have been there, and I know from looking at the picture itself that there's a kind of a serenity there that you feel. And again, this is just rock, but it symbolizes so much more than rock. The way in which you can use objects to bring peace to your soul. This is a Buena Vista. It's about 10 inches tall, and you can see the flames that are there, and the gorgeous colors. Not so much colors, the gorgeous shape of that. Here we find some of the buildings that were traditional Japanese. And you see the roof lines there are really patterned after the way in which they took rice and dried it. They'd take rice and put it over poles and stretch it out, and then use the same kind of rice for the roofs. And one of the things you find in Japanese architecture, which I'm certain you're aware of, is the fact that they did not always try to hide the structure. The form of the structure was part of the beauty of the structure itself. So you don't hide pillars, you just show them there. And you can see the thatched roof. This is rice, and the gorgeous nature of that. This is a Buddhist monastery in Japan. And we'll show you some more close-ups of this. But right in the middle of this area, you find these, the roof lines here are interesting to me. The roof lines are to be swept upward, because the bad spirits would be swept away and not protected and kept in there. Again, you can see how the roof lines here go up. They use a lot of water in Japan. You probably heard the Japanese or sometimes Western philosophical thoughts about when you see a reflection, which is reality, the reflection or the thing is being reflected. But this was a symbolic thing that you looked at the water, and you saw the building, and you saw both. Again, you find here in the midst of a big city, this Buddhist area. In the background, you see some rice paddies. But up here, you find homes and trees. Again, you find the use of water and the flowing roof lines and the buildings there that give you a sense of not so much awe, I don't think, but just that peace. They have a number of these castles, gorgeous castles, huge things. Look at the roof lines. There's a series of different roof lines there. We come to some Japanese paintings now. And again, they are typical to me of the simplicity that Japan can do. They have some other that are not simple paintings, but this one is. This is Osaka coming down from the mountains. You can tell he's coming down from the mountains because there's an incline. And by the expression on his face, you'd tell he's learned something up there. And notice again, there is almost no drawings here. The robe is outlined by a few strokes. You know his hand is there with his strokes. You see his feet. But there's not much painting. And yet there is something there that you recognize and can look at. This is another kind of painting of one of the great daimyos, the great lords of Japan. And you're trying to show the dignity of a person. And notice how the black lines here are so rigid. You go when they are structured so they cut off. They come to a point, and then they're straight. And this shows dignity. And the sword is there. You can see a sword. But you have here the ability of the artist to show strength. This is one of my favorite paintings. In the Japanese tradition, this was a man who frightened bad people away. Look at those eyes. Look at those eyes. They're incredible, I think. This was a very popular person. You have these paintings, different parts, people would buy them and put them up in their home. He's the kind of person that if you were walking down a dark alley at night, you'd like him along as one of your friends, wouldn't you? Look at the way the beard he has, the way he wears the earring in his right ear, and his eyes are, don't mess with me, or I'll make certain you're sorry about that. But he was to protect people. Another kind of painting that you can see is partly Chinese in a way, but typically of Japan, they take other people's culture and doings and modify it themselves. You see again in the background, as you did in China, there's a mist there, there's something there, there are mountains, there's water, and there are people, but people don't dominate the scene again. And yet this is not quite Chinese, although you see the Chinese influence there, but it's now Japanese. This is an ink blot. I'll show you part of this. This is a small part of a major paintings, which is only in about the 1500s, that never went very far. You can see the man on the right, two men on the right, they're in a boat. This is a picture of the major one. And again, like Chinese paintings in one sense, you find the mistiness, something in the background, you don't know what it is, but it's there. And you find the mountains, the trees, the water, and people. And again, the people are on the right, as you can see. I'll go back one slide. And there you can see the people in a boat. It's very, you can see the homes there in this picture. It was interesting to me that ink blot never took off in Japan. It was used and it never was used very much. Again, here is another picture. You notice the line, kind of the middle of the top comes down and then it stretches off to the left. Which different, if it had gone off to straight down, it wouldn't be nearly as effective. The fact the line moves to the left means your eye has to move around. And people are there, assume of a building. But again, that's all they are. They are just there. But they're not dominating the scene. Again, this is a picture. On the lower left, there's a boat. At least you can see the mast of the boat. And you can see a house up there. And again, your eye moves around, and again, you don't know what's in the background, but there's something there. It is there, you know it's there, and you don't particularly care what it is, but you know it's there. Again, this is kind of reminiscent of Chinese paintings, but it is Japanese. And again, you notice in the middle there is nothing, so your eye moves.